Hey, what's up? This is the channel of Death is Not a Death Sentence coming to you on October the 30th, 2025, a day before Thanksgiving, which is one of my favorite holidays, along with Christmas and Easter and so forth, and Mother's Day and so on and so on. But anyway, haven't been on here lately. I see that I can go live now, which I will. I will, in the near future or whatever. But thank you for everybody that followed me, and I followed you guys back, and I will continue to do that. So thank you guys so much. Um, Also, too, I don't really have a lot of time to talk, so let me get straight into the topic, okay, guys? Like I say, it's for motivational speaking and encouraging someone, entertainment purposes only, if I did not already say that. But anyways, hopefully it'll put a smile on someone's face and it'll give somebody some encouragement and some hope. All right, let's get into it. All right, today's topic is going to be about cremation. What's the difference between cremation and funeral, having a full-fledged funeral, whether you're buried inside the ground or whatever, whatnot. Do you have to be, buried in order to go to heaven, or hell, or whatever, whatnot? Do you have to be buried in order to, go to heaven? Or do you have to have a certain ceremony of cremation in order to go to heaven and things of that nature? And I could honestly tell you, no, you do not. When I was up there in heaven, no one that I seen didn't talk about any cremation or burial or in the ground or anything like that. And keep in mind, I've saw millions of people, so I'm quite sure all them people was not all buried or all not cremated or whatever, whatnot. That just does not happen. So a lot of times these funeral homes and things of that nature, they're making a killing, these expensive coffins and, these expensive add-ons that they add for funeral expenses and things of that nature. To be honest with you, we're all going to one spot. It don't matter how you get there, because if you really think about it, right? People that has been unalived, right, by someone, in someone else's hands, unfortunately, someone, got, unalive or whatever. I can't really say the word, but however, that goes to show you, whether they were in a trash can or in the alley or whatever, wherever they were, right? So it goes to say, okay, because they wasn't buried in the ground properly, or a cremation ceremony, or or whatever people tactics is to bury, their loved ones or whatever, that means that they don't go to heaven. That is not true. That's not true. It doesn't matter which way you go, because at the end of the day, again, we're going to the same spot. We're going to the same spot. A lot of people say, hey, listen, what about them evil people that sit up there and do all this stuff to people and everything? Are they going to be there too? Well, I could tell you, me being up there, I can honestly say, like I said, like when you up there, everything is just open. Everything. It's like everything is just so open. So, I didn't see anyone that walked up to me and said that they had this life and they had that life or whatever, whatnot. Everything was all about love. Do I think they go and pay for whatever? Absolutely, because it tells us that in the Bible. So you definitely have to believe in the Bible, and in everything in the Bible, I believe, honestly. So I do know that it will be judgment, not like me judging them, but God would be judging them. So when people commit, unalive themselves and things of that nature, they still have God to answer to. So no, they don't get away with, all their evil deeds and sins and things of that nature just because they unalive themselves, or they get away with it until, they pass on. They at the end of the day, they will face judgment, and God will have the last of what happens. Well, the last say. So So, I just want people to understand, because there's a big controversy about cremation and funeral homes, being buried and all that, and I just really want people to understand, like, if you think about it, like, you can go to a burial site and, maybe 300 years ago, um, it was something else. And 300 years ago from now, it'll be something else. So think about it. All these billions of people that were born on Earth and everything like that, I'm quite sure we're walking on cemeteries. I mean, nothing stays the same. I mean, you got those uh, monuments, the people, family monuments that have been around for centuries. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about that are protected because they come from, they come from old money and things of that nature. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the average Joe cemeteries and everything like that. Our celebrities are not going to be relevant in 300 years. Let's just be honest. It's just not going to be. 300 years from now, the young people or, the people after us, they're not going to know. They're not going to know who we are. And to be honest with you, they're going to be thinking that we lived very ancient. So understand that just like we think of them in 83 BC and they're very ancient, they're going to be thinking about the same thing about us in the next 300 or 400 years. So, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, they talk to a cell phone. What is this, a cell phone? They watched a tube? What is a television? So, yeah, things change. And I always say the graveyard is for, the living. So people can go there and they can, talk to their loved ones and everything like that. I mean, me personally, I know my loved ones are in heaven, they're there. So I talk to them, you could talk to them wherever you go. You don't have to just go to the graveyard. But if it brings you peace, then hey, go ahead and do it. So be it. I mean, as long as it brings you peace and love. That's how I feel about it. Again, with this cremation thing and this burial thing and everything, so don't feel bad when your loved one or you didn't get to see your loved one, was unalived or you think, oh my gosh, they died alone or, they didn't have me with them and, I wasn't there to hold their hand and all this other stuff. And, or I couldn't make it to the funeral or I couldn't be there with them. Understand when they're up there, they understand. They understand everything and they don't blame me for it. They don't blame me for any of that. As a matter of fact, they still love you. They love you probably even more because everything just opens up for you anyway. So they understand everything that you thought they couldn't. And maybe they were not the easiest person to get along, but trust me, when you get up there, they understand everything. Everything becomes clear. So it's none of this nonsense with this, all this controversy about, where you buried at or whether it's cremation or only thing I have to really say about that is that, if you want to spend thousands and thousands, tens of thousands on your funeral, with the funeral home, by all means, do what you need to do. If you want to get cremated or maybe it's just something you guys do in your family, by all means, do whatever that's going to make you happy. Your family happy, make you happy, do whatever. But I just want everybody to know that no matter how you go, move on from this journey on earth, no matter how you go, we all end up in the same spot. Doesn't matter which way you got there or what ceremony you came from or whether I was laying on a curb and passed on or whether I was in the middle of the street and passed on. At the end of the day, we're all going to the same spot. And on top of that, until we all get judged, because then God determines on where we go from there, of course, So I just want to wrap this up and just let everybody know, hey, listen, thank all you guys, thank all the followers. And like I said, I'll follow you guys back, follow me. And I will be going live in the near future. I'm praying for everyone. I hope this put a smile on someone's face and give someone some encouragement. And God bless everyone. I am praying for everyone. And you guys have a God bless day. And I talk to you guys next time. Bye.